Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'm RK with Sacred Para. I hope you guys are having an amazing and awesome Saturday. Happy Saturday to everyone. I have my coffee out today, and I'm trying to adjust her little face right here so she can look right in that camera. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Monica McGrow Jetter, thank you so much. Barbie Girl 12393, thank you so much for joining. Happy Saturday. So guys, I am really excited because today I'm going to be joined by an amazing guest. I love all my guests. Anybody who comes on this show with me, I get super excited, as you guys do know, just to be able to share this amazing craft that we have and hobby, and then to be able to dialogue and talk about characters and talk about story. That's my thing. I don't care if I'm tired, didn't get enough sleep. As you know, husband and I, we have 10 children, and they do keep us on our toes. They keep us very, very busy. You're probably going to hear them in the background. They're getting things together this morning. So, you know, life happens. It's a great thing. And I don't care. Like, when I talk about story, I talk about creation, and I talk about characters, and I talk about design and structure. It just surges me with such energy. It really, really does. So today I have an amazing guest, Nisha K. If you guys have already been on her page, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Amazing designs, great use of light in each and every one of her photos. Just a dynamic artist, a dynamic person. We had a live together actually last year. You can check that out. If it's not available here on Instagram, it is available on YouTube. So definitely check out the conversation that I have with her. It was amazing. But now she has something that is a bit of a surprise to some of you guys that she was going to be talking about today. And I'm really, really stoked about her talking about this today. Hi, Coach Play. That's my husband with an I, not a Y. Coach Play with an I. And he is a wonderful and amazing fitness coach, nutritionist, anything that you need done, motivational speaker. Go to him, talk to him. He will encourage you on your weight loss journey, on your nutrition journey. If you're just wanting to get more toned and more muscular, he can help you with that. He does virtuals as well as on location consultations. So definitely contact him. He's here on Instagram. He's also on Facebook. And message him, let him know that this is something that you're wanting to get started, and he can work with you from there. So without further ado, I am going to now send out a request. Let's see here. For Nisha to be able to join. You guys are having a really great and amazing day today. I've sent out the request. Hey, Nisha!
Hey, hold on.
How are you?
I'm good. Can you see me?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I think that your camera kind of flipped, though. Hi, I dial it for you. How are you, sis? Hi, just a doll sitting pretty. How are you today? Yes. Yes, I see you. Oh, I see your doll, too. Your hair looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me see if I can drop.
So glad to see you.
Sorry, Pete.
I was just over here giving you praises and doing your introduction.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
There we go.
I don't do.
You look great, sis.
So, there we go.
And I'm loving your Barbie shirt.
Thank you. I love my Barbie sweatshirt. I got it from Target.
Yes.
I love it.
See, I gotta get mine. I like it.
Thank you.
I'm over here singing your praises about the awesome. I didn't release what the surprise was. I just said that you had a surprise.
Okay.
Some people may already know.
Okay. You want to go ahead? Yay! Mine's on.
Yeah. Go ahead, talk to us about this, sis.
So, I created 2 designs. So one of them is my my thesis project that I had to do. So if you don't know, I am at the very, very end of my earning my master's degree in photography from SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. So I'm in the process of finishing that up. And so for my final project, I had to create a presentation. So my entire grad project was done with miniatures, dioramas, and using fashion dolls. So that's quite a feat. The entire 2 years that I was in the program, I exclusively used for my photography projects, dolls and miniatures and dioramas. So the entire thing was completely done with basically what you see on my feed. And so the second one was I did a calendar every year, and I've been asked for years to do a book. And so this year I did a design of some of the outtakes from the photos that I did. And so I created a separate design, and then I created the my thesis project. So the thesis project is titled "The Secret Language of Well-Read Black Women," and that one has not been put into production. Only a few people, like our lovely host, actually has a copy right now. It was truly a very personal project, so I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to kind of share that with everybody quite yet, but yeah, it's definitely been created. So yes.
I when you sent these to me, I just felt very honored, and I still do feel very honored and very blessed to be able to hold on to just a piece of your work. Like I respect you, I honor you. I really, really do. I'm very much inspired by your work. You're just amazing. You really, really are. So these are beautiful. These are beautiful. And then, to have the definition of what each one of
Yes.
So creative.
I love I love obscure words. So my husband is one of those people that he tries to learn a new word a week. And so I kind of fell in love to obscure words. And when I was doing my thesis project, one of my professors was like, no, we need kind of a more poetic word for word titles. I don't title my work at all. So titling my work is really, really difficult for me. And she was like, no, you got to find. And so a classmate kind of was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of this word I had never heard of. I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And so I ended up using it as titles for my my thesis project, and they were all obscure words for reading. And so when I decided to do the music calendar, I decided to keep that concept going. And so I used these obscure words, and then because most people don't know what they mean, I was like, well, I got to give a definition. So, they're not like, what the heck is she trying to say? Is this a made up word? What is it? Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. I really, really do. And, a lot of these were new words to me. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Honestly, I didn't even know that there was although I consider myself a bookworm, I didn't know that there was a certain language for being a bookworm.
I did not either. And that's through the internet. Some of them are, just Instagram, social media words, but some of them have been around, for years, that was used in a literary community, and I just never knew that's what they meant, or that we even had our own language. I'm an avid reader, and so I just didn't know that there's this whole language between bookworms, that we had our own way of saying things. But I think language and photography kind of goes hand in hand. So to me, to marry those two was pretty much the basis for both of these projects. Yes. The second one is my calendar this year. Is and I'm probably gonna butcher. I've been practicing saying this, but it's you're supposed to say it melomain, which is the deep attraction to music. My husband is a huge music person, and so therefore, music is always in our house, and music is one of those things that kind of drives my dioramas. I'm always listening to music when I'm creating, and so this has kind of been in the works for years. Kind of taken me a while to collect all the miniatures to do it justice. That baby grand piano on the front, I have to admit, it is literally a work of art in person. The artist that created it is so talented. It looks real. It actually can play if you put a music box in there. Yes, so talented. So talented. I forget the artist's name, but I will definitely come back and say his what's it called, that baby grand piano is literally a work.
And then when you tell me, I'll just write, or I tell you what, I'll collaborate this, and then when you get the name,
okay,
you can just go right into the edit and put it in. So yeah.
But
so do you want me to show the photos on here?
Yeah, yes. So the melomain is still available in my Etsy shop, so you can still purchase that, but the calendar has pretty much been sold out. So the calendar is done for the year. But yeah. And so some of these are outtakes from the calendar. So they're different images than if you actually bought the calendar. They're wider views, more detailed shots, and alternate shots from the calendar that I created.
I have to pause because this one right here just really did it for me. I felt like I was a bartender watching her on the stage.
So one of the things that I learned in my classes is that my classmates and my professors responded more when they felt like they were looking into the dollhouse, as though they were getting this secret passage into this world that they didn't know exists. So it's kind of that voyeuristic look that, you know, you're not supposed to be looking in the window or through the back door, but you're kind of looking anyway. And I think we all kind of do that as human beings anyway. You know, you stop on a busy street and there's a door open and you kind of back up and be like, let me see what I can see. Or the lines is up, you're like, oh, I kind of like that sofa. Okay. You're not supposed to be looking.
That's true.
We kind of all do it. And so that's one of the things I kind of am trying to play up more in my photography, is that, you know, it's dioramas is this little secret world into the mind of the creator. This into, we put it out there into the world. It's our own little miniature bit of reality. And so we're kind of giving you a peek into our psyche, into our mind, into our feelings. And so that one was one of my favorite. It was probably the hardest because, as you notice, my style is natural light, and there's no natural light in that photo. It's supposed to be dark and moody, and I only had the lights up above that was working. That one was just that one was just,
it was stretching, but you pulled it off.
Yes. And so that was my ode to Sade. My dad loves Sade, and I kind of grew up on listening to her music, and so I kind of found this old black and white photo of her performing, and that was kind of my, you know, my love sent out to her and my dad of Sade. And it's funny, when I sent him that image, he was like, oh, she looks like Sade. So it was really funny that he automatically got it when I sent him that image, that, you know, he got that I was trying to, you know, give that respect to Sade. But I love that image.
I love that.
My personal favorites, yeah. Yeah. The DJ is another one. I don't know. Yeah.
Did I already pass her?
I don't know.
They're all really good. No, wait.
Yes. It's
yes.
and there's no natural light, which is not the norm for me. And I actually use a disco ball light, a little miniature one, to flash lights throughout the scene. So it changes different colors. So I landed on the purple because it was the one that kind of fit the aesthetic. But yeah, trying to time when you shoot with a light that's passing, and, you know, trying to get enough light into it. It's dark, but, you know, I'm a 90s baby, so if you was in the clubs in the 90s, it was pretty dark and grimy.
That's true. I haven't been to the club in years.
Either, but
years.
Yes.
But when I did go, it was always dark.
Yeah. Didn't see who was standing next to you a lot of the times. And so I was trying to get that, and then I use my beloved, my Barbies, you know, in the front, you know, they're dancing, and, you know, you kind of got a scene where there's always a couple on the dance floor kissing and in the way. So that you're like, can you just please move? I'm trying to get my groove on. And you're like up here trying to make out.
People who just met that same night.
Yeah, they just met that night, and you like, can you please just move so I can, you know, I'm closer to the stage, and y'all kind of blocking.
And you're just is one of the girlfriends that came from your group. You're like, oh.
Yes, like, sis, really, we're not doing this tonight. We're not. We all said we was coming together. We all leaving together.
Leave together. Thank you. That's always been my motto.
We're leaving together. You're not staying here by yourself with what's his name that you just met 20 minutes ago. So yeah. So I try.
Oh goodness.
My own life, my own experiences into these photos, and that club scene, you know, I can still remember in college with my girlfriends and always having he's the love of my life. Girl, he is not. Let's go. My feet hurt. I'm hot. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to Waffle House. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
You always got to.
I don't care what state you're in. If you are in the West, Waffle House
Yeah.
is the place to go after you've been out dancing, drinking, your feet hurt, broke
Yeah.
a heel. That's where you go.
And back then, you didn't sweat your perm out. Your perm is gone. The hairstyle that you did and your makeup is ruined because we didn't have good makeup back then, so it's running. You know what I'm talking about? And you smell like cigarette smoke.
We didn't have good makeup. You didn't. It would just run, and then it'd be kind of like chalky, like you get the pancake look.
Exactly.
It was bad.
And the one over.
Well, you couldn't tell in the club because it was so dark.
No, but man, when you hit that lighter, you got to the car, you're like, oh my God, y'all let me stay there looking like this? I didn't sweat it out my dress. I got sweat stains. What is going on? Yeah. Thank goodness those days are over for me. Thank goodness.
I know, right?
Part of my life.
I love how, and we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
So one of the very unique things that I love about your photography is that you have just pages worth inside of one post. Pages worth of story inside of one post. So like we're sitting here talking about back in the day when we went out to the club and the memories that we have,
yes,
and the girlfriends that would just be doing too much on the dance floor. And I remember we did have one time when a friend of ours left, and that was just, we were not happy about that. But we could go back to those memories, good and bad, because your pictures are packed with such detail, such passion, emotion, and such story.
yes.
And that's just like a unique gift that you have. Any of these pictures that we go to, we talk about your calendar, which I do have here as well. When you talk about your calendar, each one of these is just filled with so much life and so much story. And then I love that on your posts, you give a story, you give a memory as well. And that just, it just shows such connection that you have to the pictures that you do. And I'm telling you right now, my lights are not doing any of these pictures any justice. You got to get it yourself. You got to go on Etsy. You got to contact my sis in order to get these in your hand yourself.
I tried. So
such detail.
That was another thing that grad school brought out of me, is telling my own story. For the longest, I just did dioramas, and if you kind of rock with me from the beginning, it was just literally, rooms upon rooms upon rooms. Beautifully decorated, but it wasn't really anything other than just a diorama. But they kind of kept putting, you got to tell a story, you got to tell a story, you got to tell a story. And so what better stories to tell than my own stories, which is crazy and like, oh, why did I go through that, or why did I do that? But just these crazy wild stories from younger, or I take stories from my own friends, my cousins. A lot of the times they'll send me a text and be like, really cousin, you had to put that into a diorama? Like, I thought that was between me and you. I was like, it is. Don't nobody know. It's about you unless you tell you. But yes, some of these things kind of happen to them. I don't know. I am 46. I forget my own age, but I used to go to the record shops. I know that some of my younger followers may be like, what is going on? But if I don't know,
I forget that some people didn't go. You're right. We don't really have a stream.
Yeah, they don't have a stream, but going to the 90s and going to the CD, going to listen to the new CDs, you go sit in that booth and put those headphones on, you listen to the whole track and you be like, yeah, I'm buying this. Or sometimes you be like, no, I'm not buying it because I ain't got the money. But I can tell my friends I didn't heard the whole album because you didn't went in there. You don't get that anymore with downloading. So you don't get to walk in there and, thumb through the racks of CDs and albums and touch them and pull them up and see the album covers, hanging out with your friends and buying a record and then kind of share it amongst the group, because we didn't grow up with money, so it was like, okay, you got the CD this week, but next week I need it. There was no burning CDs.
No, there wasn't.
But you pretty much had to share it that way. That was the only way that you pretty much got your music. And so I kind of wanted to recreate that feeling of going into the
Also singles. Do you remember the singles?
Yes.
If you
Yes.
couldn't buy the whole album, you got the one CD that had like one track and a bonus. And you were like, yes.
Yes.
I feel like I got the whole CD. So then that way when people talk about, oh, I got the new player, I got this, it was like, I got that single. I got I don't have the whole DMX, but I got the one.
I got the one single. And you would jam that single forever. And, you know, that was back in the day where, you know, you could warp that CD and you'd be like, oh, I gotta go get another one because I didn't messed it up. But yeah, I kind of wanted to create that, you know, of just you being in the store. This shot, I wanted her face to be shown so badly because this was an oak doll and her face is gorgeous, but it just didn't work. And sometimes you just got to be like, you know, I got to go with what's being presented instead of how I wanted it in my head. You kind of got. So that was one of the shots where it's like her face isn't going to be shown, but I think it gives more emotion because you kind of, you know, can put yourself in her place of what she's doing versus, you know, seeing it all. So that faceless portrait, you know, I tried on the calendar to show the doll's face, but in this way, you know, the concept just wasn't going with the flow for me. So yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I do. I love, and I didn't, you know, I'm glad that you went with the vibe that your character was giving you and what your scene was speaking to you. Only because, once again, you talk about that like voyeurism experience. I feel like I'm in the record shop too.
Yes.
And that she's one of the patrons there, you know, looking through the CDs too. So I didn't feel like an urgency to be like, oh man, you know, I wonder what she looks like. As much as it was that your photo put me into the experience. And I believe that's the word I'm looking for when it comes to you. Like you're able to tap into our senses, really into all 6 of our senses, and really put us into the experience of your photos. Because when I look at this, literally, it put me right back to, we used to have an ear ecstasy here. It took me to ear ecstasy. It took me to one of the more, you know, I can't even think of the name of the ones that used to be in the shopping malls, the one that were like a bigger conglomerate. Ear ecstasy was like a little small radio or music shop. And I loved it. I loved it. Like, if I don't care how many times I scratched a CD from listening to it, Michael Jackson History album. Sis, I wore it out. I would go to your ecstasy and they were just like, hey, you got a guarantee, we'll swap you, give you a whole new one. I wish they hadn't because now they're out of business. But they did. And I loved it there. That was like my home away from home. This is just amazing. Like I said, you give us an experience, you take us there. We have these awesome, amazing memories of, you know, when we were there. And this is the DJ one again. Just beautiful photos. So like we said, go to Etsy.
Yes.
Now you already said these calendars are gone, so you're gonna have to come back for 2024.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the year.
Only limit the calendars every year to 25 calendars. So once they're sold out, they're pretty much done. I don't create anyone. This one right here is Lizzo inspired. I don't know. I know there was controversy between her twerking when she did the 100-year-old flute, but I kind of had to put that in.
And that's where I should have figured out when I saw the flute.
That was my love to Lizzo for that, because that was an iconic moment. Whether you get it or not, that was an iconic moment. And so I kind of had to do the flute. But you know, she's not playing for anybody else than, you know, her sweet pup down there. That's kind of like, okay, yeah, I really want my breakfast, but you go. Just hurry up and play so I can eat. But okay,
and she's got her music book. Right there.
Which is pretty much my dogs. You know, I'm normally singing and dancing in the morning, and they're like, okay, can you just hurry up and do this? We can eat, because we really don't care about all that other craziness that you're trying to do this morning. We just and so I have to try to be kind of way, because they're characters, you know, little miniature characters in my life all on their own. But yeah, that was my my little, what's it called, to Lizzo with the flute. So I had to kind of put that in there. And a lot of the times when I'm creating, it's like these little weird little stories like come up in my head, of her, you know, if I could get them to move, I would. But, in my head, it's like she just got done twerking. She's practicing, playing her flute. Her dog is just looking at her like, can we get this over with? It's a beautiful morning in her kitchen, but, you got to get that flute practice in and, kind of start her day. And, she's getting ready to get breakfast started and feed him and, pump herself up so she can, deal with the rest of the day. So.
There you go. It's the pump up. I had some Alicia Keys going on a little earlier while I was getting myself ready. You got to get the pump up going. But I tell you, I love Lizzo. Yes. I do. I love Lizzo. I love her because of what she represents as far as just this confidence.
Yes.
As far, regardless of what size that you are, being able to embrace who you are, despite what anyone says. Her last video, she has some videos that I love. I was introduced to her during my postpartum. And, when you just have the baby and you got people on Instagram and they're snatched in like 2 weeks and you're not.
Yes.
You can kind of feel like, kind of down. And so I was listening to her song. I think it was Juicy.
Okay.
Or I got that juice.
Yeah.
And it was like so creative, so different. I haven't seen anything like that since the Missy Elliott era. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like I felt good about how I was body-wise. It just felt very empowering. So ever since that time, I have been on the Lizzo train. I know that she, still has a lot of different development that she's doing on her journey. I feel like this last video that she did, where she's a superhero.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, sis, what song is that? It's in my head. I can't even think of it. But she's a superhero. She's like working at the diner, which I felt like was like, I think we're thinking like a homage to Alicia Keys' like video back in the day. And she's working at the diner, and basically it's almost like, gosh, what? I can't think of the name. The video is so bomb. Now, summer videos I don't let my kids watch, but that was a video right there. You're special. If nobody told you that, you're special. Girl, that video rocks.
I'm going to have to go see the video after this. I'm going to have to watch
the video rocks. That's a video that I was like, I can let my kids watch. It is so good. So, I just saw so much maturity in her. And then she shared the painful aspects of her life through her lyrics. It was good. So I love me some Lizzo. Now that you said Lizzo, I'm like... I get it now. I knew something stood out. And I have two awesome things about you that I want to say, amongst all the other things. I do love how you put your dogs. You often do put a dog or one of your dogs in your photos. And you always incorporate real-life photos of your life, from your family members, yourself. You even put a self-portrait in one.
Yes.
So in oil. I was like, what?
Is my grandma. So that is my twin. Everyone in my family says that I look just like my grandma. And she's no longer with us. So a lot of her pictures are in there. She was one of my biggest supporters when I started collecting dolls. She was a doll collector herself. And so I like to, she collected Astor and Drake dolls. And so when I started my doll journey, it was the first one that was like, yes, do it. If it makes you happy, then do it. She was always a big promoter of women having their own identity outside of being a wife and a mother. And so that was one of the things she told me, is to have my own thing, because it would help me on my journey of motherhood, and being a wife is to keep my own identity. So I always try to, honor her in my photos. So you'll see a little pictures of her, my mom, my aunts, my cousins. And so I kind of put them in the background, but I love the fact that she's not here to see me now, but she's able to be remembered in my photography. She's now a part of it, even though she didn't actually get to see the journey of where I'm at now. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And it so reminds me, and I may not be completely accurate, so forgive me on this, but when we talk about, Dia de Muertos, within the Mexican culture and the Hispanic culture and Latina culture, and they remember their family and they have the altar.
Yes.
with all, with their family's pictures, and being able to continue to honor them, that although they're not there, they're still with us.
Yes.
And so making sure that we, are constantly reminded of their presence, because then their energy still lives on. And I feel like that is so important. Like, no matter what race we are, culture we are, and we could just adopt that same remembrance of family members and of friends who have, passed on early, or passed on, maybe at an old age, but still feels early for our heart. I think that it helps us in our grieving process, and it becomes very healthy.
And I think in the Black community, for us, it was always that photo wall of our ancestors. You would go to your great aunt or your grandma's, or, your older cousin's house, and they would have this whole wall that had all these black and white photos that, that carried our family history. They would tell you that's your great uncle such and such, and he did this, or that was your great grandmother who did this. And through photography, was still able to connect to these people. And so for me, adding my own family into my photography was scary, because I'm putting them out there on social media, and it's a little nerve-wracking because it becomes more personal. But at the same time, where I come from, this is who I am, this is what makes Nisha K. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so I like to honor them. My mom is one of my biggest supporters. She looks at all my photos before they hit social media. She's not on social media. So I have to send them to her individually. She is probably the only person that has books. So every 3 months, I make her a book of all the photos that I posted on Instagram. So she has my photos from the very beginning that I don't even have anymore. And she openly shares them with everybody and anybody. It can be quite embarrassing because she carries her books, doctor's appointments. It doesn't matter with this woman. But she's also the biggest one to be like, I get it. I see what you're doing. When I'm like, hey, mom, I put, she's like, I get why you put grandma in there. Or, I see myself. I see this. Or, she's also one of those people to be like, you kind of had that on your own, in your own house. She kind of catches those little things that even I didn't realize I put in there. There's a little hidden Easter egg about myself. And she's like, okay, I kind of see why you did this. But yeah, I just kind of like to make sure that my family, who's hugely supportive of my work and always have been, is kind of with me on this journey as well.
I tell you, support is invaluable, and it's a blessing, and it's amazing that you get that support from your family. It's priceless. It's invaluable. Not everyone has that. And so whenever you are able to receive that kind of support, especially, from your mom, your dad, husband, children, family members, just in total, cousins, aunts, it makes a world of difference. It really, really does. And I know some people are able to still push forth with their craft and their creations even without the support.
Yeah.
But I just believe having the support makes a huge difference. It really, really does. So I'm thankful that you do have that.
Yes.
And this one I see is a little bit of a, it's a darker mood as far as lighting wise.
That is not normally my style. I'm the light and airy person. But with music, you got different sides of music. We all have that song that we listen to when you were having a bad day. Have that playlist that we listen to when we feel like the world is caving in on us. So I couldn't really do this series justice while and put in all these light and airy photos. You kind of have some darkness, which is pretty much everybody's life. You have those good and bad days, but with this one was the old school R&B divas that they started out in the basement singing vocals on somebody's rap album in the basement. No light, grimy. It was smoke filled, but they did it. And, we have some of the most amazing singers from the 90s. And so I kind of wanted, and they were always dressed too. I mean, come on, they had their look. They wasn't going down there to play. They weren't dressed to the nines. And so I kind of wanted to, give homage to that 90s. Whether she made it out the basement or not, but she was in there, she was laying them vocals on them tracks though, she was putting her heart and soul into that. So
I'm telling you, I got two vibes off of this. I really, really did. And then I think it's because those congas in the back, like I kind of went back into like Sheila E. But then seeing her laying the vocals reminded me of Aaliyah.
Yes.
So I was like, I love the vibe, and Sheila E. is a beast. So
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yes.
she is.
I had a Sheila E. inspired photo shoot. It just did not work out. I was so upset. In my calendars, I like to use one line of dolls. And so for this calendar, it was New Face. And I just couldn't get them to sit and hold the drums right. It was, the articulation wasn't there. And so that one may have to be for a Barbie inspired calendar. But I didn't get the articulation to do what I needed it to do. So that one ended up getting scrapped. So they just end up.
You have to go with the flow, you know?
And so that one ended up, but she was one of my inspirations for this calendar too. It just didn't quite make it. So
I do have a question.
Huh?
I guess now you almost gave me like two questions to ask. One being, whenever you do have an idea, like we talk about Sheila E. and the doll's not really having the articulation for what you envision for a Sheila E. photo, what do you do with those ideas? Do you just kind of scrap it and be like, oh, well, or just like you said, you're like, I'll have to do that with a Barbie one. And then how do you kind of control your mind on that? Because if I have an idea for something and it doesn't work, I'll admit it, like rotates for a long time until I'm actually able to do it. Are you able to just kind of be like, I'm just going to put that to the side and when it's time, I'll do it? Or does it stay in your mind?
So for me, I am a notebook person. So I have notebooks of ideas everywhere. There's a notebook that stays in my purse, and I call myself a passenger princess. So when my husband's driving, I'm writing stuff down. I'm still old school, so they don't go on my phone. But for me, when a concept doesn't work, I pretty much, I'll set it up. And I try to pose it all and it doesn't work. A lot of times I'll leave it, for the day. Like I need to walk away because it's not. And normally through the night, I'm a night person. My creativity flows at night. So normally it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll wake up and come back and be like, okay, this is what came to me. Reset the scene, put the doll in there. Those ideas kind of stay until a little bit later. There's sometimes I know like I have to use my made for move Barbies. I cannot do this with Integrity Toys. Nothing against Integrity Toys. It's just the articulation. It doesn't allow me to get a pose. And for me, I'm very particular on how their body shows movement because their faces don't change. I don't use face apps. So I have to show emotion through their body language. And if I can't do it, then it can be safe for a Barbie. It'll just be a shot that I'll do for my feed later, or sometimes I'll just do it as an outtake and you'll end up seeing it a year later because it'll get lost in my camera roll. You'll see it a year later come up and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a lost photo, So I kind of use it for my feed later on. I try not to say anything is a not happening concept. It's just not at this time. It'll move forward. But I pretty much take a note, everything for me is like spaced out from the furniture to the vibe I want, to the Pinterest photo that I've seen that I kind of want. That's the look I want. And so I just kind of put it aside and come back to it and do it much later. It may be someone's doing a doll contest and, they're like, oh, the theme is music. And I'm like, okay, now I can add this particular shot into my feed, or whatever I'm going through at the time. So they don't, I guess over the years, I've kind of like, it's not going to work. I can't make it work. Cause if I make it, it doesn't come out right. My heart and soul is into it. So I'm very, it is what it is. I got to start over. And so let me just clear the room box. Let me create again. And that was the case with that one. It was supposed to be a Sheila E. It didn't work. So I'm like, let me clear it. Came back 2 o'clock, put it together in an hour. The next morning, I waited to early in the morning to shoot because I wanted that low light. And once I took it, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted. So it wasn't supposed to be an R&B diva, but it kind of came to me like 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
I love that. I love that. Now, I do have another question since you talked about the low light and we talked about the DJ booth. Mm-hmm. How did it feel for you? Because I imagine it was different because you're used to having a lot of light and being able to use your, and we talked about that before, having that light almost like a character in your stories, in your posts, in your photographs. After you saw the result, how was that for you?
I didn't edit them for like 2 weeks. So I took these photos back in August. I didn't edit it for 2 weeks because it was just so outside of my norm. And I didn't know how to edit. So I had to go back and practice. You know, I do a lot of low light in my portrait work. And so when I came back, I was like, okay, I can do this. But I kind of had to be in the mood. I had to, you know, set the tone to kind of get that look, and kind of had to work it a little bit. I don't do a lot in Photoshop other than just simple editing. I'm not a Photoshop person. So what you see is what you get. I've just gotten really creative over the years and tried to make them stand or balance, or, you know, kind of hide certain aspects where they're standing and something's actually holding them up. And so it just took me a little while to kind of get in the mood set that I have to edit this one differently than what I normally do. I probably think it took me probably about 4 to 5 times of editing that particular shot before I was happy with it. Normally at that point, I kind of show my husband 3 versions, and he's like, that one, and then I know to stop, because if I don't, then I'll just keep tweaking and tweaking, and then you'll never see the photo because I'm still constantly tweaking it. So he's normally my last one to be like, that's it. And then I have a group chat with my family, and I send it there, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I did what I came to do. I'm done. That makes it into the calendar. They're also my jewelry for my calendar. So I normally do about 16 images. And I send it to them, and they're the ones that's like, yeah, no, yes, that one stays. That one goes for July. So they're the ones who actually are putting it in. Oh, I love that one. Sorry. This one was Misty Copeland. Music, dance. I had to do Misty Copeland. I was a ballet dancer when I was younger. Ballet, I never went.
Really?
I did.
I'm so jealous. I used to go to ballet with my mom. I wanted to be a ballerina so bad.
Ballet, tap, and jazz for 8 years. And then when they told me I had to go to toe, I had a really close friend at the time that had just went into toe. When I saw her bloody feet, I was like, not doing it. So I stopped dancing because I was like, I don't want to, blood is just not my thing. So bloody feet is just no. And so I stopped with that.
It's such an oxymoron to have such beautiful, graceful dancers. And then the reality is that their feet go through so much. Like, they have some of the worst feet, just honestly. They do have some of the worst feet in order to pull off such a graceful, elegant dance number for us.
Her pain level was just so bad. And so, you know, she was a year advanced before me, and watching her go through that, I was just like, I told my parents, I'm done. I'm not going to toe. I'm done with this. And so but Misty Copeland was still just, you know, huge for me. And then seeing her, you know, dance, and seeing a Black woman, you know, hit the major stage at a time when I didn't really see us at that time. And so I kind of wanted to pay homage to her. And so it was a clean, more, you know, ballet studio. It was just her. It's early morning practice. You know, there's nobody there. There's no other students, no teacher. She's just getting her practice in. And those long braids on a neck was just kind of like ballet braids, but make it Black. You know what I mean? This is how I can imagine a sister going to practice with, you know, those braids and watching that movement as she danced. And so I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more simple, but light and airy, and, you know, kind of keep the focus on her. So this one took me a minute to get as well, the angles of the room and trying to get her pose. I think in the book there was an alternate pose that I really loved, but because of the format of the calendar, I just couldn't get it, which is why I love the aspect of the book, because you get a full shot of some of these shots that I can't make it small enough and make it to fit into the calendar. And so you get the overall aspect of what I was trying to do by me putting that photo in design. So
I'm trying to see if I can find it. Now, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able, and this is more so for our viewers, how are you able to capture her in that mirror without capturing yourself?
That's the angle part. So I am literally like hiding myself, dropping down, the camera's on the table, I'm moving, just to make sure that I'm not in the shot. So it's not a dead on shot, it's more of me at an angle shooting her so that I'm not seen in it. And you can actually do it. It just takes some practice, and it's going to take you a little bit to even make sure no part, even my camera lens can't be in the shot. So I will admit that I didn't edit anything out. It's just really me twisting and contorting my body to get the shot and get my, without the camera lens being in it. My husband always says he's going to do videos of me taking pictures of dioramas, because he's like, the way you're twisting yourself to kind of get these shots but not be in the shot is what's it called. But yeah, that one was and that mirror was actually a sheet of mirror found on Amazon, and the ballet bar is a dowel rod that I kind of museum putty. So I kind of
Wow.
make this ballerina studio, and then I looked up and found this ballet bar on eBay. It was another doll company. It's too low, so that was why, leg warm-ups. So if anybody out there is creative enough and wants to make me a ballet bar, ever be so
Even if
happy.
you're watching this and rewind, like after the live and you hear it, DM her. You know how to make ballet bars, DM her. Let her know.
I kind of had, a lot of times for the calendar, I don't have time to reach out to my creative community and be like, hey, can you make this for me? And so sometimes I just got to buy something. I had to repaint it because it was hot pink. And just kind of have to make it work, to make it livable. A lot of the times, like, the mirror was kind of in the background, so it's not like a close-up that where you would see that, things are kind of, stuck to it. But yeah, for $20, I got a wide mirror, and it works for the shot.
This takes me back, when you say about painting it takes me back to the Peloton that you made.
I was like, and I mean, just taking a Barbie bike completely apart and spray painting it black and, in the Peloton colors, it worked, it looked real. I am not the best crafter, so if you actually got in close, you'd be like, there's like drips of paint, but, you pull back enough, it's part of the scene, no one really notices, and, you get the shot, and that's really that's all that's important to me. I get the shot, ultimately.
There you go.
And
we're always our worst critics. So you see the drips, but I see it in person and I don't see the drips.
Yeah.
We're always our worst critics. I tell you what, I showed your pictures to our children and they were just like flabbergasted. I can't tell you how many kids that you've already inspired just from your work. They're like, I can do this. I can do this. I mean, even behind me right now, there's dioramas and stuff that the kids have created. So
yes,
I say keep doing it, sis.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy.
Keep doing it.
My niece now is at the age, she's 11, so when she comes over and stays at Auntie's house, she's like, can I go play? Which makes her mom nervous, because she's like, I don't think I want you playing with Auntie stuff. But the other day she came over and she made her own dioramas and photographed them. And she came to me and was like, okay, so what did I do wrong? And I was like, you did absolutely nothing wrong. Like, this is amazing. So if I can inspire another generation to keep this going. Also, somebody's got to take over Auntie's collection, because, I got boys and, yeah, they're not into it. So
I understand. Yeah. I completely understand. I tell you what, and that was what we had talked about through our text, about this being such a wonderful time there to have our live today, because this is about history, and we talk about Black History Month. And I mean, like, I thank God for what we have as far as the leaders that we have in position and who they've been. But then we also need to talk about who's making history right now, who's inspiring our generations right now. And that's what you're doing with your work. It is truly an inspiration. It's inspiration to me. And we're like basically the same age. But then we talk about these younger folks, and then even older than us, because your work is social, it's on social media. So people of all ages are looking at your work and saying, I can do that, or I can do something, I can use what I have and put my twist on what I do in order to create it. You're doing something phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to when your husband videotapes you and makes that documentary. And then we will be talking about that.
Oh, you won't, but I mean, because I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to the dolls, and you know, it's a whole crazy, and you know, he gets front row view to it, and he's just hilarious because you know, he's like.
So tell us, what is that like? Because listen, for you, you're like, oh man, you know, that's kind of crazy. But the reality of it is that there's plenty of us whenever we're in the process, we're talking to the dolls,
Yes.
and you know, we're getting either frustrated because they're dropping, or we're trying to like find out what exactly the characters are wanting to pull from each other or pull from the environment, from the props, so that we can make the picture work. So what does that look like for you when you say you're talking, you know, you're talking to the dolls and stuff?
It's normally, I set the room first. So for me, I create the room first. So normally it's a Pinterest photo, you know, that's kind of like, oh, this is a cool space. And then I kind of, you know, take a screenshot, leave that on my phone for a couple of days until the story comes, because it's really just a room until, you know, the story comes. So I kind of look at this beautiful space and like, I want to try to recreate this in miniature, but you know, what is it going to be? And so then the story comes, and then I normally pull the doll, depending on what kind of movement I want or the type of look that I want. And there's sometimes mid-shoot I have to switch the doll out just because she's not giving me the vibe that I want. And so, you know, I normally create the room, let that settle, because I set my rooms at night, you know, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, get up the next morning, depending on what time I want to shoot, pull the doll out. And normally by that time it's came to me in the morning, like, okay, this scene is going to be about reading, or this is going to be me talking about my hatred for grocery shopping. Or this is going to be, you know, a story that my cousin told me a couple of weeks ago that I thought was funny, you know, so let me go ahead and, you know, kind of, you know, create this into this space and, you know, and kind of tell this particular story. And so then the doll comes into play, which is always the dangerous part for me, because it's like, pose them. I don't use stain at all. There's a couple of shots that I'm kind of hitting. You know, I have a stick behind her that's kind of, to the wall to kind of bring her out front. But for the most part, it's trying to lean them together to kind of, and so it involves a lot of cussing. Like, can you please? It's a lot of begging. Can you please just stand here? Because, you know, I'll get her set up. I'll back away, grab my camera, and she'll fall. And so then I got to fix her hair. You know, I got to fix her outfit. I got to put it back on because it went flying. And my dogs are lovely, but if it lands on the floor, it is theirs. So I have to find it before they find it. Now, if it's in a box or on a table, they won't touch any of my miniatures. But if it's on the carpet, it belongs to them. There's normally a race for whatever that's fallen for me to find it. And I normally is telling them to stop. But if it's there for, you know, a couple of hours and they're like, it must be our chew toy, it's gone at that point. Race of like calling my husband, like, you know, her hand fell off. I need you to help me find it. Renee and Bishop, get out. You know, yelling at them, you know, finding it, and then trying to get her to. And then, you know, there's sometimes where I have to pull him in and like, hey, can you hold this way? And then there's, you know, me fussing at him like, no, you're holding it too high. You can't see it in the scene. Like, drop the chandelier down. Why is it tilted? Babe, why is it tilted? Straighten it up. Oh, goodness gracious. And then it also involves, and that's another reason why I don't know if I can show video, because normally I'm stripping. I get really hot when I'm moving. So normally there's clothes coming off, because then when I get frustrated, I get hot. And the more hot I get, the more layers I gotta take off. And so some of them will be X-rated because, you know, I'm in my bra and pair of jeans because I'm hot. My neighbors, they can see out the window, is probably like, what is this crazy chick doing? And then I'm raced against light, because a lot of the times there's a perfect, you know, light. And I know at 10 o'clock to 10:30, I have this light. And so I'm trying to get it in that 30-minute time space to shoot all these images within 30 minutes. And so I'm knocking stuff over, having to reset the room because, you know, I didn't knock over the couch because it's this little tiny space. It's just pandemonium and chaos. And just pure craziness. My niece, she she wanted to watch me work, so she did one time. She told my sister-in-law, Auntie is crazy when she's making those rooms, like line and across the room to get other stuff and muttering and fussing, and the music is loud, and so it's pure.
I always say, honestly, I always say it takes a special person to hook up with a creative person.
It does.
With a writer, photographer, whatever it is, artist, musician, because our processing's different. Yeah. And the only one who's going to understand that is also someone who is a creative. And your husband is also a creative.
Yeah.
I know that you guys did a YouTube together.
Yes.
And he, you know, also does content, correct? So it's like you're able to vibe together, understand each other. Whereas if you're with someone else, you know, even as just friends, and they don't really vibe on the same frequency to them, there's just like, what is this? What is going on? It feels very chaotic. And then whenever you're snapping, and I'm speaking for me, when you get real snappy, it's like, because you have an idea of how you want it done, you know? And so if you get kind of snappy about it, someone else can get their feelings hurt real quick and be like, I don't even want any part of this. And it takes someone who's also a creative, who's strong-minded, who's like, okay, I get it. You know, I'm just going to brush it off, take it with a grain of salt. Let's just move on. And you really do need that. And then they can still tell you, like, you know, even after you just snap their head off, they're still like, you may want to move that right there. You know?
Like, babe, calm down. You're not telling me. Because normally, you know, I bring him in, I'm like, hey, I need you to blow bubbles in the tub as the doll sits in it because I want the effect of the bubbles moving. And he's like, where's the straw? Like, just, what am I doing again? I need you to blow bubbles into the bath water from this. But babe, in the shot, move out my shot. You know, so he's normally like, what craziness is this woman making me do? But I have to admit, he's never told me no. He's just like, okay, like what am I doing this time? But I mean, as long as I can keep a shirt on or, you know, have a fan in here, we got to put a fan in here. I will do a video of me what's it called? But yes, like I said, I'm very like, stuff is coming off. I'm hot, you know, I'm frustrated. There's cussing involved, which I always tell my mom she can't come in my doll room when I'm creating because I don't cuss in front of my parents. And I'm like, there's going to be a stream of words coming out my mouth because something didn't fail or a doll's not sitting right or I can't get her leg to cross. And, you know, it's just crazy. But I think anybody that does what dioramas is probably, you know, we all get to that level where we're like, it's just ain't, you know, and it's stuck a frame to the wall and it's keep sliding down or, you know, miniatures is like one little thing and then it failed because I should know how to use ticky-tack to keep things on a table. So if I move, it goes flying. So I got to reset the thing. You would think all this I would do that, but I'm lazy. And so I just set the scene and pray that it stays long enough for me to get the shot.
I don't think it's lazy. I think that you're so authentic and realistic with what you do. And realistically, we don't put sticky tack underneath our cups and plants or bowls or anything. You know, it's here. I just down on the table, and you're hoping that you don't knock the table. Like I can't tell you how many times I'm like, please don't knock this coffee over. Like I'm telling myself, like, don't knock the coffee over. It's gonna go everywhere because it's not, you know, it's not sticking on here. So I think you just deal with more realism.
I did the Thanksgiving photo. If you go back from Thanksgiving, I did a Friendsgiving photo, and there was so much food on that table. I think I knocked that setting over probably 8 to 9 times. And if you really look at the photo, you'll see stuff is still askew. And it was just at that point, you know, nothing was stuck to any of the plates or anything. And so it was lovely the first time it was set up. But after the 6th or 7th time of me like bumping the table or, you know, my sleeve from my t-shirt, which is another reason why I strip, because, you know, my sleeve from my t-shirt or, you know, sweatpants or my sweater made like, okay, I got to take the shirt off, or, you know, my braids may, you know, brush against something and now that's falling. And so it's like, okay, now I got to pull the hair out the way. And so it kind of becomes this weird, you know, litter of mess that is everywhere. And
don't even feel bad about the stripping thing. Like, just completely honest with you, I hate clothes. I always have. I remember my mother, She used to say to me when I was younger, because I've never liked clothes. I've never liked sleeping with clothes. Just nothing. I get hot. I get very, very hot, and the clothes start to like stick, and then it like wrinkles into your skin, and it doesn't feel good. And so she would get on me and be like, "You have to wear pajamas because if something happens and we have a fire." I don't know why she used to say this. She was like, "We have a fire, and you got to jump out the window, and you go, you got to be able to put your clothes on." And it's going to take more time. You need to have your clothes on. And she would say you have to have, and she's on here right now, matching panties and matching bra. Because if you go down, if you got to like jump down and the firefighters are there, they're going to see underneath your nightgown. I was,
Like,
I was like, what?
thanks for putting that into my head. Yes, my mom was the same way. Like, thanks for putting that into my head that they have to match. Because I don't really think they're looking at that. But yes.
She was always matching bra, matching panties. I was like, okay. But even when she said that, I mean, I would just get hot and I put the little, take it off, put my little nightgown at the end of the bed and be good. And before I met my husband, I'm telling you, when I get off from work, I was teaching, I would just strip, keep on the essentials, and play on the PlayStation. And and then it was that way for quite some time up until, having kids and stuff, then you have to be more, proper and more modest. So I try my best to keep my clothes on all the time. But I tell you, it's work because you get hot and it's just more comforting. We came in the world naked. We leave the world naked.
Yes. And diorama, if you haven't done it, it is very physical.
It is.
And then the photography aspect too, I'm not standing still. You could catch me probably on a step ladder trying to take an overhead shot. I'm crouched down. I'm, standing. I didn't have knee issues or back issues until I started doing dioramas. But I'm in this little space, and it's just crazy. Like even now, I have the window because I'm hot. But that's just as you get older. I'm 46.
So very, very true. Our bodies are just different. But being able, it's just different. And I tell you, I had a live with someone else, and she called it, I think she called it like photography gymnastics. Yeah, and it really is.
It really is. And so it's just this physical part. And I think most people don't realize that, I've had one of the main things that I get, people comment about is like, oh, I wish you would put out content every day. And I'm like, you don't understand. I can't shoot. I did 36 dioramas for my thesis project, and I did over the span of 4 months, and I thought I was going to die. Like it was, and I say 36 because that was the breadth of the actual project. I probably did total about 40 at that time because you have to have I have to have ones that, they're just like, that's not going to work. So there's a lot of, I won't call them failed concepts. They just didn't make it into the drawdown. I think it's only 20 or 24 that actually got put into the presentation. But, that was just 4 months. I'm trying to still create content for my Instagram. It's a lot. And as a creative, you get burnt out. I will admit that I shot all of my Christmas stuff because we just moved into a new house. So I shot all my Christmas stuff in November. I haven't shot anything since November. So everything you're seeing is stuff that I shot in the fall. And I think it's just because I need a break. Like my brain is just like, we're done. We need a rest and relaxation. So all the stuff that you're seeing is stuff that I shot back in November, and you just kind of, but I'm also one of those people, I plan out my content. So everything is normally done months in advance, which is why when people go, oh, where'd you get that from? I'm like, crap, I don't know. That was like 6-7 months ago. Like I did that shot. I don't remember. I'm actively creating new things. That's one of my favorite shots. That little doggy butt. That's one of my favorite shots.
We talked about that. Yes.
That's one of my favorite shots. But yeah. And in that one, you see also the other concept for my thesis project, which is why I'm kind of hesitant of sharing it publicly, is because it's the picture-in-picture concept. So you see a photo of me that I took inside each diorama. And then you also see my family members' photos inside. So it's a very personal, much different than my own, regular work that I share. So, One of-
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we've talked about your books. Of course, you guys can get these on Etsy. Calendar is already sold out. 2024, at the end of the year, 2024 calendar will be available.
yes.
So
And you,
kind of like get yourselves ready for that
yeah,
one.
and you can see the images for the calendar. I normally start sharing them about 3 months, so I never want the folks that bought my calendar to see it on Instagram. So months later, you will actually see the image. I will share it on social media. I just wait 2 or 3 months so that the people who have the calendar can actually kind of feel a little special. They get to see an image before anybody else and have time to look at the details and connect with it. And then, 1 or 3 months later, I actually start, each month page, but it's never in that same month. It's always after. So if you didn't get to see the calendar, if you didn't get to buy it, you will get to see the image just at a later date. And that's because the folks that actually pay for it, I want them to have exclusive rights to that image before everyone else gets to see it. I want it to be special for them to feel like, well, I bought the calendar and now, everybody immediately gets to see the same image. So, but like I said,
I agree with you, but I do want to add on too that it's just something so different when to be able to hold a piece of your work.
yeah,
Like even seeing, and I think it's great, like once when you do release it on Instagram, people are able to see it. But I still want to advocate so much for people to actually make the purchase because it's just different being able to hold your work.
I think one of my friends said that for her is that I can sit there and just really look at all the details that's in there. I'm a very detail oriented person. And so like I get to see all the layers and the details and, it's not on my screen that I have to blow up. Like I can actually see it, in print, hold it in my hand. And so going forward, designs will probably be one of the things that I will constantly use in my photography that sold. Right now, getting ready to start on a series for design and their miniature chairs. I also want to help the community, and we got so many new collectors coming in. I kind of want to give them resources, of where that once the scale miniatures are out there, it's come a long way in the past few years. Unlike 1/12 miniatures always kind of had their lane of people producing, but we're now getting a lot of detailed 1/6 scale miniatures, and so a lot of people don't know where to find it or that it's even out there. So the first zine that's coming out in the next couple of months is a chair zine of all the chairs. I'm addicted to chairs in real life and in miniature, and so I have a huge chair collection. So I just want little dioramas that kind of tell you the name of the chair. Some you can't find anymore. Some is still being produced, but at least that way you know what to look for on eBay if you like that particular chair. You know the name, you know the search term, and I'll be giving you how to find it, who made it, so that if somebody else is selling that chair, you know where to find it. But I just want people to be able to have a resource of being able to start their own collection. And chairs is kind of one of the cheapest, the easiest things to kind of start to buy in 1/6 scale miniatures. And so there'll probably be volumes to that, and then eventually I'll do kitchens and bedrooms. But I kind of also want to use my photography to teach people and to get them more. I love looking at other dioramas. It's not just mine. So the more people that create dioramas, the more I'm happy. But I
Kudos to you for that. I love that you're saying that because just with the chair alone,
yeah.
if you're starting off or if you're trying to make a real quick photo and you don't have a lot of time,
Yeah.
you can easily have your doll sitting in the chair and take a picture. You can have them standing beside the chair, behind the chair. You can have them, if they're articulated, you can have them put their foot in the chair for some drama. Maybe they're holding their jacket out and they got one foot in the chair. It's so many things that they can do with just a chair.
And even my fashion photographers, they can use that as a prop. And so I wanted to start with that first. And I get so many questions of where I buy it. I don't like to, if you slide into my DMs, I will help you. But
yes,
I like to talk about where to buy, and I don't ever discuss prices, but I don't like to talk about where to buy on Nisha K, because that is my photography page, and that's where I want the focus to stay, is on the photography. But if you come into my DMs and ask me a question, I will point you in the right direction if I can remember. Have to be honest, I've been doing this for over 10 something odd years, so some of this you just can't get it anymore, but I will try to point you in a direction. I have several people that come and be like, hey, I'm trying to find this chair off this Pinterest photo. is there anything like this? I'm like, oh yeah, such and such sells that. Let me send you, the link, or, whatever. And, they go on about their business. So I don't mind answering questions. I just prefer my feed to stay off the photography, more of a shopping home network, and it kind of can turn into that really fast. And so my miniatures page, though, ask me what you want to ask me. That's what that is there for. It's a resource. I openly talk about, miniatures. I just got done with school, so that'll be more coming.
Okay.
But I'll, actively talk about where to buy things at, where you can get it at. But I just don't do it on Nisha K, because I just prefer it to stay based off of photography. So
So oh, you're fine. But when I post this, do you want me to do a collaboration on your other page, which is the By Nisha K account?
Yeah, they can do that, because that's my teaching page. So I actually have tutorials up there of little simple projects that you can do. Like I said, I'm not a big crafter. And then I openly talk about just miniatures on that page. That page is just about miniatures. It doesn't involve dolls at all. It's literally just miniatures. And I will, break it down if you need to. There's a couple of ones I think I already have of how I shoot things. There's behind the scenes on there. I just don't do it actively on Nisha K. And that's why
I understand.
Yeah. And that's why I had the second page. That's more of my teaching page. And that's how I kind of differentiate between the two. So
I will put your other page on here as well. Now, I do want to do something a little bit different. It's my first time doing it. But I follow this one interviewer named Kelly Corrigan.
Okay.
And she's on PBS. And she has Kelly Corrigan Wonders. I think that she's amazing. I love following other interviewers. Just like keep yourself fresh and being able to learn from them. We always need to learn. Like I'm learning from what you have. And I just want to do a real quick speed round of questions. And then we're going to end it. And then I want you guys to go on Etsy immediately and make the purchase. Because I'm telling you, like she said, she's constantly teaching. This right here, for me, like I said, I'm always inspired by you. I'm constantly learning. When I talk about being inspired, I'm talking about being able to learn from how you do things. And then you have such a down-to-earth, authentic personality that makes this such a treat. So I thank you for inviting me and involving me in the experience of Nisha K. Like that's like a whole entire... There goes the name of your documentary. I like it. All right, so what is your go-to? We're going to do a speed round. What is your go-to mantra for hard times?
So my go-to what?
Mantra for hard times. Like what are some affirming words that you give to yourself during hard times?
For me is if I can do it in miniature, I can do it in real life. Miniatures is one thing photography wise to do it. Like whenever I'll be like, I can't do something, then I think about the work that I've created in miniature. And if I can do that, I can do anything. You know what I mean? Like I can create this world in miniature and have it detailed and have professors think it's real. You can't tell me I can't do anything else. If I can trick the human eye into thinking a miniature is a real setting, there's nothing else I can't do. So I kind of apply that to the rest of my life. Like if I have that type of talent, you can't tell me that I can't figure this out. If I can figure, because miniatures, dioramas, we're always figuring something out. There's no blueprint to doing this. There's no one that's like, this is how you do this. You pretty much figure it out on your own. So I kind of apply that to the rest of my life. If I can figure out how to create this, then, or make this into reality, then I can do this in other aspects of my life as well. So that's my.
That. Yeah. I love that. I love that. What is your favorite food?
Oh, goodness gracious. Waffles. I mean, I would probably be kidnapped if someone with a van came up and said, I have waffles. I would just get in. Like, and it smells good. It's a Belgian waffle. You got strawberries on top and warm syrup. Like, okay, not, you shouldn't get into the van. It's like the man got, and they're warm and they're hot and they got strawberries too. I'm done. Just like, so if you ever see me at a convention or anywhere else, if you want to pick my brain, just bring me a plate of waffles, whatever you know. Oh, you want me to will you have my collection? Give me waffles. You got it, whatever you want. Oh, you want all my miniature chairs? Okay. You got waffles? Okay, just keep them coming. Yeah. All day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm in agreement with you though, especially you said Belgian waffles. Yes, yes, with the cream and the strawberries. That's how my mother and I used to get it when we go out for the buffet on Sundays. You took me back on that. Like I said, you are an experience. Yes. I mean, just honestly, I love it. Okay, if your mom wrote a book about you, what would it be called?
The Life of Miss Quirky. My mom tells everybody I'm the quirkiest person that she's ever met. And I have a nickname by my mom is Sally Sue. So whenever I do anything weird, she calls me Sally Sue. So for her, it would probably be the life of quirky, or the quirkiness of, Nisha K or something like that. Because she just, when people tell her like, your daughter plays with miniatures, she's like, if you know Nisha, it's not really that strange. I mean, it's Nisha. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's just her. And so I'm the silly, funny, weird one in the family. So, she would probably, just the quirky life of Nisha K, and that would be it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Do you feel that your storyline has changed over time?
I do. I think with me sharing my own stories, I think it's given it more depth. I'm not afraid. I am. I have anxiety and depression, and so I go into my dark days. And me and you have talked about that. And you've been through that with me. And so, for me, I think sharing my life, the good times, kind of help me reflect when I'm in my bad times. To go. There's other people that get it. I'm not the only one going through this, or I'm not the only one who has this experience. I shouted out that I hate grocery shopping, and I had other people that did it too, so I don't feel like I'm the only one that's like, grocery shopping is literally going to end up in the toilet. Like, does anybody else see this? Is my money going into the toilet? And so sharing those, other people get it, or just memories from my childhood. Other people is like, I had that memory, I just forgot about it. I had someone reach out to me when I talked about making donuts with my mom and how they made it with their mom, and they called their brother, and it was a memory they totally forgot that they had as a childhood. But me talking about it and then seeing the diorama kind of triggered that memory. And to me, that was like the highest praise ever, is that I get back a childhood memory with their mom that they had totally forgot about. Even though the pumpkin thing, my mom says that we did pumpkin carving when I was growing up. I don't remember at all, but she swore that I did it. She has no pictures, therefore no proof. So I don't know.
But she remembers, and that's what counts.
But I stand by that I never did pumpkin carving when I was younger. So yeah.
Listen, even if she did it when you were like 1 or 2 or 4, and you may not remember, for a mom, that still counts. It's like,
yes, I told her she has graphic proof, therefore it did not happen. It is not in my bank. So.
And I'm going to end this with 2 more questions, okay. Just 2. Tell me about someone who has super impacted you.
Oh my God. The first person is, she goes by Cutie Erica. So Erica, I've told this story before.
She's on here.
I told this story before, but I first saw Erica's work on a doll board. I'm dating myself. Like years ago, there was doll boards. We didn't have Instagram or Flickr. And so she had did this wedding, this gorgeous wedding. And I actually tried to recreate this wedding. It was a disaster. But I was like, I really want to make dioramas. Like, this was a gorgeous diorama. She'll tell you that was the last and only diorama that she's created. She does not do dioramas anymore. But she is the person who gave birth to Nisha K. For me to see that, and then also I have to go back. Back then, I didn't see women that looked like me doing dioramas. That was not the norm at all. It just wasn't. And then later on another doll board, I saw my Froggy stuff, which I don't know if she was going by my Froggy stuff. It didn't collect it years ago that I realized it was the same person. I saw her stuff on the doll board, and I was like, oh, there's another person who looks like me who's doing it. She was crafting. I'm not a crafter. And so that kind of started me doing dioramas. But then Erica's photos were, even back then, were absolutely amazing. And so I actually picked up a camera to shoot my dioramas because I didn't want to, like, I wanted to one day be able to show her my photos and not they look like crap. You know what I mean? Like, you want to show that person that look up to and be like, look, I did this, and you know. And we didn't actually connect until Instagram, and you know, now she's one of my, you know, a really, really good friend, and I absolutely supports me so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, cutie Erica.
Yes.
She has such a beautiful spirit. Like we connect through our DMs and stuff, and
so
I mean, like, some people just leave you speechless. It's hard to really articulate because you get so many, you know, just loving vibrations and feelings. And I'm telling you, she's someone who has written me without me having to say, like, I'm feeling a certain way.
Yes.
She'll just write me and be like, sis, I sense, you know, that you're, you know, feeling a little bit down, or you got this going on. I just want you to know, stay encouraged, you know, you've got this, you know, you're needed, you're important. Like just letting you know that you matter.
Yes.
She is very much a very special person, and I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for her. She's helped me through a lot of things.
Everyone, and this is not to take away from anybody else, but for me to see my Froggy stuff and to see
my Froggy stuff, oh my gosh,
at the top of their game as Black women, it's just like, I can do this. You know, when I started off, my work was rejected everywhere. Like, you can't do this. No. There was on Flickr, there was groups that was like, I was banned. Like, this is no, you know. And I won't say it was racism. It may have been my style of photography. They just didn't like it. And so for me, it was just like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. So, you know, to have Erica and then my Froggy stuff, like, comment is like, yes, because these are my heroes in this. This is who me, and I wouldn't be who if it wasn't for their work. If it wasn't for them breaking and laying that ground. Like I said, Erica does not do dioramas at all anymore. But her photography alone, you know, the styling, the movement, I'm still practicing.
Girl, I was about to say, she makes those dolls move. She makes that carrot move. She makes that hair move. I mean, when it whips, I don't know how she does it. I can't even imagine how you can, like, swing your doll and then take a photo that quick. But she whips it and makes it work. I'm like, come on now.
And for me, it was the detail in my Froggy stuff. It was like that light. You know, I can't craft it. I can buy it. I can craft it. I can buy it. And so I kind of had to, you know, do it in my own way, because I tried her crafting, and just that is not my lane.
My Froggy stuff, I'm telling you, like, okay, you have all these different followings, and yet you're still so down to earth.
Yes.
You're still so human. You know, it's really easy, I believe, to get caught up in things. Plus, on top of that, my Froggy, you've been on HBO. You've been doing this. You've been doing that. You're going to this Comic-Con, and yet you're still talking and relating to us.
Yes. And
then,
so
on this level, like, you're not a celebrity. Come on now. Like, I love it. I love it. And then she makes these crafts to make you feel like, I can do it. I can make that.
Look, listen, I didn't spend thousands of dollars trying to do my Froggies crafts, and it does not look anything like her videos. So I have just my talent is elsewhere. It is not in crafting. And I will tell people in a heartbeat, I do not craft. Let me send you to her, but that is not my lane. That is not my lane. But if you want to make it yourself, let me go find you one of her tutorials.
There you go.
I cannot make it. I'm not going to attempt. I'm going to look at it and love it and be inspired to do. Many of her rooms has inspired me to do something else, you know, to do my own rooms. I just know I can't do the crafting part. It was her watching. She did a stage, and I actually bought this up to do the stage for my calendar. And then I got it, and I was like, yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. So he thought, and I was like, well, how can I do this for cheap and not have someone create it? So I actually wrapped one of my walls in black wrapping paper. But if it wasn't for me watching her tutorial, I wouldn't have known how to do a stage and make it look realistic just in a way that I could craft it. Does that kind of make sense? And so
Yes.
But it was me watching her video on how she did it, and it was like, okay, I can't do that level, but I can do something similar in this level. And I think sometimes that's what I've heard other people like, well, I can't do her craft. if you look at the inspiration of it, you can take it and do it to your level. You don't have to do exactly what she do, but the inspiration is there for you to look and be like, this is possible in miniature. This is out there in miniature. We can, you know, dial it down to make it from something life-size to miniature. And I think that's why for her work so much. And then with Erica, you know, oh my God, the fashion, the hair, the movement. I'm still trying to get that movement in my dolls. I'm not there yet. I try really hard, but her movement is just, it's so much personality. It gives life to those dolls. You hear me? I mean, those are living, breathing beings in her photography. And so, you know, those two people are the ones that just kind of like, you know, and then the other person is Sharon Wright. I met her at the last Integrity Toys convention. My good socialite crew surprised me because I love her photography. I actually cried when I met her. I am so embarrassed to say that, but it was like one of those like, oh my goodness. And they surprised me with it. So I'm a crybaby, so I bust out crying. But Sharon Wright is another one that, you know, I just like, I can do it. But for them, you know, I'm kind of, you know, they kind of gave me that leg up. And so I'm where I am because of what they do. And there would be a Nisha K without them. What inspiration, without them being who they are. And being these amazing, artistic, creative, beautiful women. So yeah. And I always give credit to that. So yeah, that is my story of how Nisha K came to be, you know. It was through their work. And I mean, like, this was years ago, like doll boards, like years ago, before Instagram was even a concept. So I saw these women's work and was just, you know, gobsmacked, like, wow, we can do it. And so but yeah, I wanted to share my work with Erica so bad, but I didn't want it to be like ugly photography. So I practiced photography. And then my family was like, oh, you're good at it. So I kind of segue into becoming a portrait photographer, which I think kind of helps me in my storytelling. So I didn't do anything with dioramas. And then I kind of moved away and didn't have my family to photograph. And I started photographing my dolls to kind of keep practicing. And that's kind of how it kind of continued to kind of take off. So yeah, it was me wanting to share and Erica not thinking my photos were ugly. It's how it became.
I tell you what, I feel like, and I'm going to share this, and we're going to, you know, share our last question, but I feel like when it comes to both of these ladies, and when we talk about my Froggy stuff, who has tutorials and different diorama examples up on YouTube and even on her page, I feel like there's the Kung Fu Panda. I think it's like the Kung Fu Panda effect. I want to say it's the last one when Po was with his family and he was trying to get them to be able to defeat the enemy that was coming. And he was trying to train them the way that he was trained. And then he realized, like, I have to help you be the best you.
Yeah.
So the way that you're able to do whatever skill or talent that you have, let's help you to become the best at that, versus me trying to make you and mold you into what I am or who Tigress is or this person. And I feel like, especially when you say that's what inspiration is, being able to take what you're good at and then just you know, use the teachings that you're getting from my Froggy stuff or Cutie Erica or Nisha K or even with Sacred Pair or anybody else, take that and then hone it into your own craft.
Yes, and that's
like, I love it that you're saying that.
Make it your own. You know, you can start out by, you know, oh, she has this room, but, you know, there's a lot of times I'll look at, you know, my Froggy stuff and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I never thought about this. And then weeks later, it'll generate an idea like, oh, I can do this, you know, type of room. And so it'll kind of come, now it's mine, but she was the basis or the inspiration, you know, her talking about a particular project kind of job. But that's everything in life, you know, that's music and art and television and conversations with people and, you know, walking into someone else's space. You know, I love interior, so just walking into somebody's home is going to generate like, oh, okay, this is how they did that, or this is really cool, or this is really pretty. You know, kind of generates that inspiration and turning it into something that is your own. And for me, is just me. I don't know how to, there's no title or what I do. It's just me putting it out there, and hoping that other people enjoy it as much as I did, creating it. And that's the most important thing to me. So
I agree. I fully agree. Now, my last question is 4 words you would say to someone you love. What would it be and who would it be? 4 words that you would say to someone you love. What would it be and who would it be?
You are amazing. And that will probably be to my husband and my sons. Just, you're amazing. They're not, athletes or rappers or anything else, but they're amazing. I mean, my husband supports me fully in what I do. He is my biggest cheerleader. He's my heart. Even when it comes to money, I'm like, oh, I really want this piece, but I got to wait. And he's like, go get it. Just go get it. Go treat yourself. And my sons, because I did this while they were preteens and teenagers, and they were never embarrassed. There's so many times that I'll be in my office working on a diorama, and they would bring their friends in. They both actively follow me under pseudonyms, follow me on Instagram. They openly share my work. They openly discuss it. It is not an thing to them. They love it and they support me. And, there's many a times they'll come in and just sit there and talk to me. My youngest son, Jaleel, when I do male dolls, he's the first one to be like, Mom, that outfit, we would not wear that. Like, change that. So, the shoe collection and the fashions is, it's my son, what's got. And me segue into more masculine spaces is, for them, they're like, we want to see ourselves in your diorama. But you never create, spaces for men. So I'm like, okay, I got to kind of change that. But no, it's just their support, them being happy, them supporting me, them being excited when I'm excited, even though they don't understand. Mama got a new doll. Okay. They're excited because, coming in at night, working and just talking to me, asking me for stuff. They always tell you, the best place to ask Mama to do anything is when she's in her doll room working on the diorama, because she's going to say yes because she ain't paying no attention. So, they're just loving me and supporting me through this, because I know, as my collection has grown, this is probably, they've had to give up spaces, but they've always supported me in what I do in my photography. And, they don't just accept the portrait side. They are quick to show off, the miniature side. Like, let me see, look, doesn't this look real? And so they're really proud of what their does. And so to me, that's what I would have to say to them. They're just amazing for this craziness. So, yeah.
That is so heartwarming. I love it. I do. I truly do. And I'm going to tell you, your photography, your giftedness has totally changed my perspective whenever I see advertisement even. Like, there's advertisement that I used to see in magazines or you get like junk mail and they send you something about, we can come and clean your carpets. And I used to think automatically like this, that they're really in that person's house, or they've got a home that they're showing you that they vacuumed up.
Yeah.
Now, after seeing your work, I'm like, that's a miniature. That's a miniature. Yeah, like maybe they do the kind of work, I don't know, but that's a miniature, because you've set up such awesome and amazing photography to let you know, like don't be deceived. Like, some of this is miniature work.
Yes.
And yet it's so realistic, because if you think about it, if I'm gonna clean someone's carpet, it's way quicker to clean a little tiny piece of carpet, a square, whatever size it is, compared to cleaning a whole carpet and then showing the picture. It's so much easier to do that in diorama form. So I thank you for the work that you do. You already know you're a blessing in my life. You truly are. We talk about Kitty Erica, we talk about my Froggy stuff, we talk about so many different accounts, and definitely put your name in there too. And if you haven't noticed, and I know we've been seeing you guys talk and chat and give out comments and compliments, I just want you to see how many people, before we get off, because unfortunately comments don't get saved, how many people on here are just like, you're amazing. Kitty Erica's like, Misha, you are amazing. She has hearts. My froggy stuff, going to cry. You are my goals.
Oh,
Come on now. Danny, Poppy, and Barbie said they had no clue, talking about the doll board previously. So glad that you continued. Cutie Erica, I love you both. My froggy stuff has tears with hearts. Cutie Erica said, much respect. I just want you to be able to know that so many of us are so appreciative of what you do. My froggy stuff, waffles for Poppy Parker dolls. We got a laughing emojis going on here. I don't want you guys to think that we were ignoring you at all. It's just that when we have these chats, it's just us dialoguing, and we thank you guys for being with you. My froggy stuff, you're going to love this. Says, I have been in love with your photography for years. Hearing you talk is a treat.
you're gonna make me cry.
Girl, get it out. Hey, you saw me cry earlier. Get it out. Hi there, you're looking great. Thank you, Auntie. She was talking to us about looking great. Danny Popper, the calendar is so beautiful in person. Oh my God. Yes, get that calendar. 2024 is coming up, and she said you could be able to check it out on her Instagram, but it's nothing like being able to hold a piece of legacy history.
You get a page, a new page every single month to kind of absorb and check out, and look at the dolls and look at the what's got. I don't know the concept for next year. They normally don't come to me until a little bit later, but yeah, like, please, next year, please get the calendar. Like I said, it's sold out for this year. Design Melamain is still available. That won't be continuous. That's not a limited edition. And then the one last thing I got to say is I have to have a big shout out to the creators and the artists behind the miniatures. There's no way I can do what I do without them. And some of them have created one-of-a-kind pieces just for me to make my idea into reality. And if it wasn't for them, and their work and their detailed intricate, I mean, some of these pieces are just absolute pieces of art in miniature. But please support them, support their shops. There's so many over the years that we've lost just because they didn't have the support in the 1/6 scale community. But please support them, support their work, buy what you can from them. They are truly artists, and they deserve to stick around. So, and we're having a huge wave of 1/6 scale becoming more popular. So let's keep that momentum, because that means more miniatures for all of us.
Yes.
Please continue to keep that. Well, please support them and their work. There's so many talented, and I should have did a shout out in my book, and I failed to do so. I will do in the next one, of all the ones that created, amazing pieces for me, or source pieces for me, so that I can make this into a reality. So I just want to give them all the love. And SI Scaled Designs is the ones who did all the dioramas. So all the walls and the flooring is all their work. They're absolutely amazing. I love them and adore them. They've created some amazing pieces for me over the years. And going forward, they, their work is what is able to help me elevate my work. So just so much love to Alberto and SI Scaled Designs. And if you don't follow them, you really should. They're truly amazing. So
I wrote it down. That's what I was doing right now, writing it down. SI Scale. I'll put them in the comments as well. And that was for their diorama, for their rooms
that I used in Melamain, and all the ones that I use in the Secret Language of Well-Read Black Women, and in the calendar. They're the ones that they have separate walls and windows and floors. So I'm able to create my own dioramas, my own room boxes. And so I pretty much almost I use a lot of their work. So yeah, they create some amazing pieces. But yeah.
So did you self-publish these?
Yes. So those are self-published by me. Yes. So I did former graphic designer here. So I created the books, the photos, the layout, the covers, everything, and then sent it to print myself. So yeah, those are all done by me.
See, that's what my husband's always talking to me about. He's like, forget doing this publishing company. Like, do your own. So that's where I am. That's like my next step of evolution, is to go ahead and do it myself and print it out myself. Because that's one of the things that he's like, come on, let's do it.
Yep. So all of that was done. It's a true labor of love. But yeah, all of that was done by me. So more to come, more of them to come. I promise. More resources on doll furniture. I know that's one of the big things a lot of people has asked for me. It's so much easier to be able to say, here's a book with all of this stuff in there, and I don't have to, you know, repeat myself. Go find it. Here it is. But yeah, so definitely more resources on furniture and more stories to come in Zine format. So yeah.
Awesome, sis. I want to thank you again for being able to have this chat with me, being with me this morning. Like I told you, I appreciate you very, very much. I'm continuously blown away by your work, just continuously. And then on top of that, you just have such an amazing spirit, beautiful woman. I just adore you. I love you. So I thank you so much for being with me. I do. I love you too. I love you. I thank you so much. I want you to keep on doing the amazing work that you're doing, because we appreciate it and we need it. And just to let you know, before we end this, my froggy stuff said I needed this today. You are so very needed. You really, really are. And, you know, should there ever be a time that because it's so easy to get burnt out. And I saw someone's comment earlier. They were like, burnout is serious. Burnout is real.
Yeah.
And it really, really is. And it can hit you like at your highest time, like everything's going really, really good.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know that I should be making some pictures right now. And it just.
Yeah. And
you hit
great, because
creative roadblock.
Burnout will just stay. And so I always tell everybody, you know, they come to me and they're like, I'm burnt out. Take a break. Take a break, sis. Take a break. You know, breaks are needed and deserve it and well earned. And as much work as I've put out in this past year, I kind of deserve the next, you know, 2 to 3 months off. I still have content that I'm sharing. I just, you know, need this break to kind of, you know, settle and to relax and to get my mind right. And, you know, then I'll be back with, you know, even more. But I think right now I have content until April. So
there you go. There you go. It's that recharge time, you know. And like I said, you have experiential photos, so you don't really have to have post after post after post, or putting 10 pictures into one carousel, because your pictures speak the story. Even before, in my opinion, even though the prior work that you had spoke the story, but now you've just evolved. It's just the evolution of becoming Nisha K. Like, you've evolved so much, and that's why it's important to continue to learn. I've met so many different people on both sides of our family. Hey, SI Skeleton Designs just joined, sis.
I love your designs. I love you. And they know I love them. I support them. They are amazing. We found their work for the first time on Pinterest. And then they came to Instagram, and then they started selling. And I was like, okay, I got to save up. And I bought their pieces. And if you have to save up and, buy one of their room boxes, you have to. It is, I don't know, their work is just so detailed. And it's really, really has changed the scope of what I'm able to do and what I'm able to create. Their work is just, they're just amazing. So yeah, their work, if you don't follow them, please do. Their photography alone is amazing, but the way they create their room boxes is just game changing. It really is. So yeah,
I agree. And I agree because I've seen your work. I know my mom said earlier, thank you to your dad. I think she's talking about this today.
Yeah.
Photos. You want to check out these photos. You really, really do. I'm so proud of your stretching. Like, I love I love your work, but to see those darker, moodier pictures, it's such a stretch, and it worked fabulous. It just worked fabulous. So yeah, I think that she's talking about the Shade photo.
Yes.
And
yes,
just great work. Just great work. You guys want to get this in your hand. So go to Etsy, get you one. That way you can admire all the fine details. You can really be able to put yourself and immerse yourself into the experience. Like I said, I feel like I'm the bartender right here, because you have that bar, you have the drinks right there, and it's just being able to look on stage and see that talent. Just amazing. Amazing work. Get you guys a book. Get you several. Get you one for a friend. Get you, regardless of where someone is at in their photography, if they're new, they've been doing it for years. They photograph humans. They photograph dolls. They go outside, photograph nature, whatever it is, architecture. I feel like your work just really does, it's cross-cultural. So no matter where someone is at in their photography, you do it.
I appreciate it.
So I'm just trying to give you your flowers because you deserve it. You really, really do. I thank everyone for joining. I saw my mom, my aunt on here. Thank you so much. We saw you guys. If we didn't get a chance to address it, forgive us. But we want to thank you for joining, for being with us. I am going to save this live. It will be on my page, and I will also be doing a collaboration with you on the by Nisha K page. So if you've never heard of it, you're not following it, when I do this collaboration, you will automatically be able to tap on her name, go to that page and start following it. You're already following it. Great. You're also going to be able to see it on there. And Cutie Erica gave you flowers too. We are just, we love you, and we just thank you. Nanny Poppy and Barbie gave you your flowers.
Yes.
You deserve it. You deserve it. You're putting in all that time and effort, and then you're getting your master's in this. Sis, you're just becoming untouchable. So just know that. My Froggy Stuff said amazing live. We thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Nisha, we're going to be talking as always.
Yes.
Yes, I thank you. I love you, sis. I'm going to talk to you later. You have an amazing Saturday.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.